When it comes to the Nintendo Wii, there were some decent mature rated titles on the platform. I thought Mad World was a really fun game, and of course you had games like Silent Hill, Resident Evil on there as well, but I think one of the more interesting series had to be the No More Heroes series. You had No More Heroes 1 and 2, which introduced us to a new character called Travis Touchdown, and these games were very, very cool, unlike what a lot of Nintendo Wii publishers were doing at the time. The game was very gory, lots of adult language, lots of just craziness, and that's to be expected when Suda 51 is at the helm. Now, Suda 51 has been making awesome games all throughout the years. Killer 7 is one of the most unique games of all time, and it's always interesting to see what Suda 51 comes up with next. Well, of course, the Nintendo Switch was announced to be getting a spin-off of the No More Heroes series called Travis Strikes Again, and a lot of No More Heroes fans, myself included, were really looking forward to this game. Now, initially, we didn't quite know what to expect, and when we saw the first gameplay for the game, it was kind of like, oh, this isn't a traditional No More Heroes game. But with Suda 51 at the helm, you would expect this to still be a top-notch quality game. But unfortunately, Travis Strikes Again definitely has some problems. But I think I have a massive problem because I can't finish the game. I literally cannot finish the game. So what am I talking about? What's going on with Travis Strikes Again? Is it a good game? And what do I mean by I can't finish the game? Sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's jump into the world of Travis Strikes Again for the Nintendo Switch.
Hey, RGT 85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards! So in typical Suda 51 fashion, the story in Travis Strikes Again is absolutely batshit crazy and kind of weird to puzzle together, but the pieces do fall into place pretty easily. Basically, there's a character named Badman who is a former baseball player who turned into an assassin who basically wants revenge on Travis Touchdown for murdering his daughter, the Bad Girl. Now, Travis Touchdown is getting older. This takes place 7 years after No More Heroes 2, so Travis is now like a middle-aged dude just living out in a cabin in the woods playing different types of video games. Well, Travis and the Badman end up getting sucked into a video game console called the Death Drive MK2, and that's pretty much the whole basis of this game. As you're playing the game, you're constantly trying to unlock more games for the Death Drive MK2 to unlock different things in the game, and of course these games are the levels that are featured in the game. So as you're going through, you're getting different types of gameplay elements, but the primary thing is hack and slash gameplay, which of course we came to know and love in the No More Heroes series, but it's definitely very different this time around in Travis Strikes Again. It's regulated to buttons as opposed to flinging your arm around like you would with the Wiimote. And admittedly, it feels okay at first, but it definitely gets pretty repetitive. You start just going through waves of different enemies, holding down the Y button, which is your weak attack, and you can also string together strong attacks with the X button. So combos and different skill chips that you pick up along the way that also are your special abilities do come into play a bit, but mostly you're just utilizing your basic slash mechanic, pretty much holding down Y and just kind of going through these enemies. Now there are multiple difficulty settings in this game. I played it on the standard difficulty, not the easy one or the hard one, just right in the middle. So I don't know if in the harder modes, maybe it gets a little bit more challenging, but I definitely found the game to be pretty easy from what I played of it because you just sort of run through these enemies. Travis also can upgrade his abilities as well. He can upgrade his level as well. And as you upgrade your abilities, you get stronger attacks and you get more HP that you utilize in the game. Now, one thing I actually really like about the game is the t-shirt system in it. Yes, it's pretty simplistic, but it's pretty cool. When you look at all the different styles of t-shirts that you can unlock and purchase in the game, there's a lot of different indie games that are featured in this, and I really like that. It's sort of a cool nod to a lot of these indie games that are out there that maybe won't get the same publicity that a game like Travis Strikes Again will, because obviously this is being published by Nintendo. It is a release. It's also getting a physical release as well, so that's pretty cool, I thought. I went with the Messenger t-shirt because I really enjoyed that game, thought it was a really super solid game, but there's a whole variety of shirts that you can unlock and purchase in the game, so that's pretty cool. But back to the gameplay, you start to get a bit bored. At least I did as I was playing through the game, because it's just waves of enemies sometimes, and it's really kind of a shame, because one of the things I liked about No More Heroes was how the gameplay was, but you also had those wrestling moves incorporated as well that were like finishing attacks. And as you're playing through the game, it's just sort of a wave of enemies. You go a little bit further, and then there's another wave of enemies that you have to clear in order to keep advancing. Now, there are ramen spots that are featured in the levels as well that will upgrade your health, along with toilets so that Travis can save his gameplay because Suda51 likes his potty humor. Now, another strong point of the game is definitely the writing of the game. It's very Suda51, it's very tongue-in-cheek, it's very self-aware, it even takes shots at other video game developers and characters and things like that. It's admittedly very, very funny. Now, there is a lot of swearing going on and stuff like that, so if you got kids around, you might not want them to read what's on the screen, but there really is no voice acting in the game, so it's all done via text, so if they can't read, it's not really a big deal anyways. But I definitely enjoyed the writing of the game because it's very Suda51. But of course, we have to go back to the gameplay, and once again, things just seem to start to fall apart as you get further and further into the game. Now, as you're unlocking different things within the game and different games to unlock on the Death Drive MK2, you start to see a little bit of variety, but honestly, there's really not that much. It's still primarily just a hack and slash style of game. It does incorporate different things like puzzle mechanics and platforming, but they're admittedly just done kind of poorly, especially the platforming. I had a lot of trouble with the platforming in this game in the coffee and donuts level because you have to get like a double bounce in order to go, and it's like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Even when you do figure it out, it's just very poorly done. It feels very slick and slidey, and I just never felt confident in my jumps, even though I knew exactly what to do. Even when replaying through the levels again, I still got that same sort of feeling of uneasiness, and it does take damage when you fall, but it's kind of funny because if you fall and you have no life left, you actually won't die because it's almost like they knew that the platforming in this game was kind of weak. On the presentation side of things, the graphics are just not great, and I understand this is a $30 game, but it really looks like a Wii game, and I'm not saying that in a positive manner. Yes, there were tons of great looking Wii games that were out there that were very stylized, but the problem is this doesn't even look like an HD game. It actually runs in the actual game at a 4:3 resolution, which of course is not HD, and the graphics are just kind of muddy. Looking at some of the backgrounds, sure, there's a bit of variety here and there, but really they're just muddy and bland. Same thing with the enemy variety. Like, there are some cool enemies and there are some cool boss battles that happen in the game, but it's just not very impressive. The music in the game is pretty solid though. There's definitely some very head-nodding tunes to it that I really enjoyed. But I think one of the main problems with the game has to be the padding of this game. There's a lot of padding, and it feels like these levels probably could have been a bit shorter. Now, yeah, it would have made for a shorter game if they got rid of some of this padding, but Travis Strikes Again is only like a 5 to 7 hour game to begin with on your first playthrough. So it's kind of like, you know, it didn't really need all this padding, but maybe we should have put some more innovation into it. But why could I not finish this game? I'm sure that's the question you're asking yourself. If it's only a 5 to 7 hour game, and I've had this game for a couple days now, what's the problem? Well, I'll tell you what the problem is. So I was playing the coffee and donuts level, which I believe is the 3rd or 4th level in this game, so about halfway through the game, and I died on one of the levels. Towards the end of the coffee and donuts level, I died in one of the levels, and I decided to go save my game and come to it later. So I saved my game, and then I thought, you know what, let me just go ahead and finish this. I'm at the end of the level anyways, let me just go ahead and knock it out, and then I'll eat some dinner and finish the rest of the game. Well, I went ahead and saved, and when I tried to go back to the door I needed to go into, I couldn't go into it, and I couldn't figure out why. So I was kind of like, okay, let me go ahead and reboot the system and then jump back into the game. So I did that. I went back up the stairs, I went up the elevator, I went to the area, and then I was stuck on an invisible barrier, and I was like, well, this wasn't here before. I was able to go across and just run over to the door I needed to go into, which is the final door in this level. So I went back downstairs. I said, okay, I'll go up the other way. Went downstairs, went up the elevators on the other side, went to the door, and I could not enter the door. The game would not let me enter the door. The game would not let me enter any door. The game completely glitched, and I was just absolutely blown away by this. Granted, I had only played about 3, maybe 3.5 hours of the game, but still, I'm trying to get this game done so that I could review it in a timely manner. And the fact that the game glitched and would not let me progress in any way, shape, or form, I tried everything. My only option with this was to restart the entire game, and honestly, it's not an enjoyable enough game to make me want to restart it. There is not enough content in here that makes me say, hey, I want to play this some more, I want to play this again. Admittedly, I was just getting through the review to hopefully find some fun in the later levels of the game, to find a little bit of different variety, but unfortunately, the game would not let me do that. It really feels just like a very rushed game, and a game to sort of get Travis's name out there again. And the fact that you have Suda51 coming out and basically saying, if Travis Strikes Again doesn't sell well, then there's probably not going to be a No More Heroes 3, it's just very shady to me, and that's a shame because I really enjoy Suda51's works. I was really looking forward to this game. I knew it was a budget game. I knew it was going to be sort of a compilation of smaller styles of games and not to expect a No More Heroes like experience, but at $30, you still still expect a certain level of quality. Games like The Messenger, games that are referenced in this game via the t-shirts are less than this game costs and a much higher quality. It feels like Suda51 just needed something out there to get money for No More Heroes 3. And the fact that it feels that way just feels very slimy to me. And it's a shame because I think a lot of No More Heroes fans are going to go into this game and possibly purchase this game in hopes of getting a No More Heroes 3. But the fact that my game completely glitched and I was going to have to restart the game, I just didn't feel like doing it. It's not a good enough game to want to revisit these earlier levels. It's not a fun enough game to want to revisit these other levels. There's not a lot of charm in the game. Aside from the writing and things like that, it's just a very bland game. It's just not that good. And it's a shame because I really feel like it is a bit of a cash grab. But that was my experience with Travis Strikes Again. I am completely unable to finish the game unless I am willing to delete my save file and start from scratch. And honestly, I'm not really willing to do that. So let me know in the comments section down below what you think of the game. Obviously, you've seen some gameplay of it. You've gotten a good gist of how the game works. Is it a game that still interests you? Make sure you check out other reviews from my friends as well. I know Dreamcast Guy and Spawncast and Wood are doing reviews on it, and I'm sure they'll have something different to say, but I think I'm completely unique in the fact that I'm unable to finish the game. Let me know what you think of everything in the comments section down below, and thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, and as always, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.